I've had so many bad experiences with trans employees that I don't want to hire them anymore, and I hate that I feel this way. Do not write anything which could be interpreted as hate speech. This here is just completely unadulterated bullshit. And what's going on, everybody? It's Kmplxity. I had a question to pose to you all. As you can probably see by the title, the question is free speech dead? Now, I'm not one of the right-winger red pillars who's asking this type of deal, but it does seem like more and more we're having to curtail our own thoughts. Now, some thoughts obviously should stay in your head, but even if you can't, so you just aren't allowed to say certain things anymore, as we've all been learning, and as we all know, especially with the last administration. Let's just be real. Lefties, y'all are going a little wild. But I saw this on Reddit Lies, at Reddit Lies on Twitter, and it made me think that I should probably make a short video about this. So let me go ahead and get right into it. This is for r/true off my chest. Seems like it's a place for you to get something off your chest. So the person writes, I've had so many bad experiences with trans employees that I don't want to hire them anymore, and I hate that I feel this way. And it was removed. It had 605 upvotes, 317 comments. Now, we all know that you gain a bias as time goes on. There's racial bias, there's sexual bias, everybody has a bias in some degree, and anyone who says they don't have a bias, they're wrong, you're lying. It's the same reason why people are like, I don't like when people say, oh, I've never judged anyone. That's not true. Your instincts come from judgment. You make a complete judgment of a person based off of their looks, based off of the way they talk, the way they act, all of those things. And 9 out of 10 times, you first and foremost will judge somebody based on the way they look. If somebody looks scary to you, you do your best to avoid them or get away from them. If they look creepy to you, you do your best to avoid them as well. It's just the way it works. It's the way our brains work. It's the way we're wired, because we are oftentimes looking to protect ourselves, right? And especially if you have your significant other with you, or you have kids, or you have anybody in which you would perceive as, I don't want to say weak or anything, but just somebody who is potentially a target, right? If you have kids with you or kids around you and someone looks a little bit of a creeper, you're going to want to, you're going to get closer to your kids in order to protect them. Anyways, so the mod team turned around and pinned plus locked this reply, and it says, your post has been removed for violating rule number 2, no terms of service violations. TOS violations are site-wide violations which can get the entire subreddit taken down. Do not threaten or fantasize about violence, sexualizing minors, or graphic pedophilia are not allowed. Do not write anything which could be interpreted as hate speech. If you believe this TOS removal to be a mistake, please message the moderators. Now, obviously, the first, like all the things in the beginning, it didn't violate any of that. It wasn't a threat or fantasizing about violence. There was no sexualizing of minors or pedo shit. The very last one, though, is a catch-all. Do not write anything which could be interpreted as hate speech. So it's up to your interpretation. If you do not have a fine line, then anybody could say it. This person literally could have put on there, hey, I love trans people, and somebody could have turned around and reported it as hate speech because that's how they interpreted it to be. And this is what I'm talking about. There's so many blanket, like catch-all free, not free, but there's so many blanketed catch-all rules for some places, some people, that oftentimes it boils down to how a person feels. And as the saying goes, facts don't care about your feelings. But this person simply stated that they've had terrible experiences with trans people, that they do not want to hire them anymore because it's possibly, and I'm just assuming here, but through inferring, it seems as though they're probably hurting the business. They're not the best employees. There's so many different things. The person doesn't expand upon why they had bad experiences. But if you're hiring a group of people, or even a singular person who is harming your business, it's totally okay to not want to hire somebody who's like that again. Obviously, if we swap this out with trans and we swap it out with like black, Mexican, Chinese, white, etc., 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 it all can be said the exact same thing. And that's why I had mentioned racial bias earlier, because a lot of the time people want to turn around and say that cops are racist. Well, some are. There's people in this world who are, but there's also this thing called racial bias, which is burned into your mind because you're constantly dealing with typically a single set of people or a single set of a community day in and day out, and all of your negative experiences are happening with that community. It's the same thing with people who have been deployed, right? In the military, they end up with a bias against a religion, against a set group of people, because that set group of people are the ones that they see as the enemy every single day on deployment. It's a reason why Muslims are hated so much. It's a reason why during the Korean War, Koreans were hated so much. Why during the Vietnam War, Vietnamese people were hated so much. Hell, and we even saw it with coronavirus, that Chinese people were hated and attacked, and unprovoked attacks everywhere. So you have a bias no matter what, but this here is just completely unadulterated bullshit, in my personal opinion. If your rule is do not write anything which could be interpreted as hate speech, then this entire subreddit should be gone, because I can interpret anything I so please as hate speech if it fits my agenda. The first two ones are incredibly crazy. Obviously, they're just stating what the terms of service are, but I don't know, guys. To me, I just look at this and I think to myself, this is wild. This is insane. It's literally called r/true off my chest, getting something off their chest. Now, if this person was fantasizing about hurting trans people, I could understand that. If they were bad mouthing them, if they were talking about, getting younger kids to become trans, anything of that nature, those rules would apply. But this doesn't. This is just simply somebody on the mod team probably got caught up in their feels, or there was enough uproar as it made its rounds in the trans community that people said something or did something or reported it. But I pose the question to you guys: is free speech dead? Or has it been muzzled more? Now, I'm not one of those people who says, oh, free speech means you can say whatever you want. Obviously, you can't yell bomb on a plane. You can't yell fire in a movie theater. Common sense. But are we reaching closer and closer to certain points where we're able to just not even say something in earnest? Not even say something that maybe might be come off in a certain way, but isn't actually meant that? Because this person even here says, and I hate that I feel this way, they don't want to have a bias against trans people. They're just having this bias because of the crazy experiences that they've had, the multiple bad experiences in which they have. Nobody goes ahead and gets upset if a woman decides to become a lesbian because she's had multiple bad experiences with men, or vice versa. It's not hate speech, it's a preference. It's the same reason if you don't date white, black, Chinese, Mexican, European, there's just so many different things. You have a preference. And to those people who say having a racial preference isn't okay when it comes to your dating and romantic life, no, you're wrong. It absolutely is. You're attracted to what you're attracted to. You're not attracted to what you're not attracted to. If you argue that it's not okay to have a racial preference when you are looking for somebody to be with, then you must also argue that it's not okay to have an age preference either, because you are attracted to what you're attracted to. If you're attracted to black people more than you are to somebody else, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, of course, I'm not making any statement that, if you're attracted to people who are young, that it's just okay. No. Put down, bury them under the fucking prison, okay? I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is when you turn around and you say you can't have a bias about something, or you can't have a preference about something, that's not okay, you're just wrong. It's the same reason you would drink the red Gatorade over the blue Gatorade. It's the same reason you'll have a Monster instead of a Rockstar, while you'll have a Big Mac instead of a chicken sandwich, while you'll have a McFrappe over, a Dr. Pepper. You have a preference. The problem is that you don't like that person's preference, and because you don't feel attacked, you feel like that's not okay, you feel like, somebody's, for whatever reason, you're upset with that person's preference, that makes you turn around and be offended. As everybody typically says, everyone laughs at a joke until you're the butt of the joke. But I say it's most important during that time to laugh, because that means you can take a joke. It means that you're not so biased, you're not so blinded by your opinion and your feelings that you actually see what's being said and you're open to true discussion. And unfortunately, r/true off my chest apparently isn't all about truth. This person's post had nothing wrong with it. I don't think it should have been removed in any way, shape, or form. But who am I to judge? I'm just some dude on the internet, y'all. But I figured I'd bring a real quick video to you guys and pose the question. Do you think free speech is dead? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Kmplxity, and as always, we'll catch you guys in the next one.